Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking. I am Del Barzi. As always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Here on Nurses Talking, we speak to nurses anywhere in the world and at any stage in their nursing journey, from students to retirees and anywhere in between. Today, I have the very great pleasure of welcoming Lisa Wade out of Pennsylvania, USA. Lisa is a legal nurse consultant. She's an entrepreneur. She's the owner of Wade Nurse Consultants. She's a podcast host. She hosts Should You Take That Case? She's the creator of two private LinkedIn groups. One is the Expert Witness Entrepreneurs, which has over 600 members, and the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group, which has over 500 members. And she also hosts a private Facebook group calling Building or Rebuilding Your LNC Business. So, welcome, Miss Busy Lisa.
I'm so happy to be here.
For Lisa, what brought you to nursing?
Well, that's an easy question, and that's my mom. I give honor to my mother. She's no longer with us now, but I give honor to her inside of my website because she's part of my story. She was a natural born caregiver. She showed that, demonstrated that every time she brought somebody, family member or whomever from the outside, inside, and cared for them, whether it was for financial reasons or emotional reasons, or somebody that was truly ill, or somebody making a transition. She brought them in and took care of them. And no nursing background, no college background, but she was always empathetic and always giving. And so that's how I got into this. I think I was born the same way. And that's what nursing gives to you. It lets you take what's inside of you and form a career out of it. And that's
Yeah,
my story.
it's a story. But what a role model she was. Though. She set the
Absolutely.
bar, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
and
My
trusted you to
strongest
follow.
supporter. Hmm?
So you had this demonstration of what it is to take care of someone, to be empathetic, because you saw that empathy was more than just I'll do it. Uh, and so you followed. But what challenged you?
Uh, well, I guess the biggest thing that challenged me as a nurse or coming into nursing was still a lack of confidence. Um, I I think I was maybe felt like I was more nervous than the average bear when I started working, and and I find that in some of when I'm mentoring some of the
Yeah.
newbie students or nursing students, it's that same kind of lack of confidence or imposter syndrome. That's
Yes.
what they told me at the last networking event I did with student nurses. Imposter syndrome. So the way I dealt with that at the beginning, I just felt like I had to connect with other nurses, other, mentors, other more experienced or with the same experience, living the
Yeah.
same kind of problems that I had. And I found that helpful. And, I looked around one day and I was the experienced nurse.
Doesn't that shock you though? It
Yeah,
shocked that realization shocked me. It was like, oh my goodness, what happened?
yeah. Well, I remember it. I remember the actual moment. I was on a shift, and something had happened that that needed to get tended to. Something about, I don't know whether it was the weather and people weren't coming in, or they were getting in late, and somebody should decide this. People have to stay, and I said somebody should make this decision. And I turned around and I was the most senior person there. So, so oh boy. So that's how I found out. It was one shift at work. And and it just turns on like a light bulb that I am that person. So
Yes. So someone said tag. You're in.
yeah, yeah.
But I see you've worked in many different areas, but your main concentration was in post-acute care.
Yes, yes.
So
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, how did you shift from that to legal nurse consulting?
Well, what happened was I I found legal nurse consulting interesting. I had been looking at it for, I guess, for decades. I would see information about it, and you know, again, that imposter syndrome creeps up, and I think, oh, maybe that's not for me, or maybe I'm not good enough to do that, or whatever. But I just I realized one day, again, I talked to again talk to other legal nurse consultants. That's how when I'm nervous or anxious, I seek out more experienced folks
Yeah.
to mentor me. And after talking to other legal nurse consultants, I realized that all of my years of experience was valuable to somebody else. I had tons of experience, and that experience is what these attorneys needed. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't, and I didn't think, well, again, oh, can I do that? I'm just a nurse. How can I be an entrepreneur? And guess what? Those other legal nurse consultants said, absolutely. And I said, okay, so I dived in. It took me a while to you know to make the jump, but when I jumped, I was in, and it's been almost 10 years now that I've been doing that. I've got the special secret sauce that these attorneys need to
Yeah.
to work on those injury cases.
Yes.
So that's it. That's how I did it.
You just said something that, you talked about imposter syndrome and not having, feeling sure of yourself because times now. And
Yeah.
what struck me, and well, not for the first time though, is how nursing, first of all, hands you all this responsibility, and at the same time tells you you're just a nurse. That dichotomy is like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's crazy. And I see what you're saying. I don't like that dichotomy, but it seems like it's built in,
Yes.
and it's built
Yes.
in inside the profession, and it's built in outside the profession,
Yes.
inside the rest of humanity and the community.
Yes.
The first time somebody said, you're a nurse, but you're
Mhm.
not a doctor. That was,
Me.
yeah, please, you could, let me just say this. I could be a doctor if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Oh,
Get over yourself. I don't
that's
want
okay. Yeah, I don't want to. No, no, thanks. So nurses and nursing are an entity unto themselves, and it's the only group of folks that do what they do the way they do it inside the healthcare realm. So, I'm not just a nurse, I am a nurse. So there
I
you
am a
go.
nurse. I am a nurse. And there are so many words I could put with that, but
That's
we don't have
right.
time.
That's true.
Speaking of nursing, though, and we just mentioned that dichotomy. What would you like to see change, if anything, about nursing?
Huh. Well, Let me think. Let me think for a second. These are big questions. I, I guess I'd like think that whole work life balance to be
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit better. But I mean, that's not what you nurses. That's coming up with a lot of
Mm.
professions, and it's to you know think about what we are and when we are working and when we're not working, and there is a blurred line between between that, and
There is.
so I mean, I think I would like us to be more self-aware and turn off what is work, that job where you punch the clock, and what is really ourselves as a nurse. How were we born, how were
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
raised, and as caregivers.
Yeah.
So I just would like it to be a little more clear, a little more self-aware for those nurses to turn off the clock when the clock has stopped, and uh, just mechanically not calling in, not calling back
Mhm.
afterwards,
Yeah.
or calling through a whole shift. That those nurses that are there when you're not, they got this. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be you. So it's a
I know.
24-hour shift. So I just
Hmm.
mostly like that little bit
Mhm.
of a balance. It took me a while, to not worry about, to leave it with my report and hand that ball to somebody else,
Yeah.
and not worry about it so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
when I'm at home.
I
So
know.
does that
I
make
know what you're
sense?
saying. And for me, it was a whole mechanism. It was a whole procedure.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't just, when I recognized that I was, going with the whole nurse thing and not leaving it. I'd give
Mm-hmm.
report and I'm in my car and I'm going home, but I didn't really leave it. When
Mm-hmm.
I recognized that, I had to have a whole process for leaving. And the process meant that I had to change before I left work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I had to change, and it would be all the way down to even perfume, whatever it took, right? I had to
To
change and give
turn
my
off
health
the
to
switch.
turn off the whole thing and leave it there.
No,
Right?
I got you. No, that makes good sense. That makes good sense because I stopped wearing perfume when I don't wear perfume when I would go
When
into
you're
work because
working,
you don't know
exactly.
who's allergic or whatever,
Exactly.
and just putting that aroma on when you leave, you're not at work. That's a good idea. I like it.
But I had to do that in order to make myself, bring myself out of that space.
Yeah, good for you. Now pass that knowledge on, girl.
Yes, ma'am. So to come back to your LNC thing, so what in your opinion is the biggest mistake you see nurses making? Oops. Okay,
Well,
what?
I say it's funny. It's funny because that's what most things that are true are. They're kind of funny, but it's procrastination. It is waiting to start your business, waiting to jump into this. Uh, that is the biggest thing. Some people get their certification for legal nurse consulting and sit on it for years, 4 years, and don't get started. Or there's some that get started and they have a case, and then they are still a little anxious, about, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Is this as good as it should be? Maybe I should learn something else, and then go back and get another certification. Certification after certification, wound care, for life care planning, for whatever. And I got to become some of them say I have to become a lawyer or I have to get
Yeah.
a legal degree
Legal
before I do
degree.
this. Well, I'm here to tell you, none of that's required. None of that's required.
You
You
already
are if
have the knowledge.
Yeah, if you are a nurse, you already have what these attorneys need. You have all the experience of being right inside the healthcare arena, knowing exactly what happened during some of these problems or issues that these injured clients have. You know all of those details. You know all of the layman's terms, or not layman's terms, the technical terms, and
Yes.
you can turn them into layman's terms or knowledge or into
Yeah.
language
Yeah.
that's easily understood by judges and juries and other attorneys. So you already have everything you need. You don't have to know everything. You just have to know somebody else that knows something.
Yeah.
Because you can confer with other legal nurses always when I'm unsure or uncertain about anything, from student nurse to
Yeah.
whenever. Talk to somebody
Talk to
else.
somebody.
Reach out to
Talk to somebody.
somebody else that's in a same or similar situation that has a little bit more experience to understand and let you
Yeah.
know you are just perfect just as you are.
Yeah. 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 So I asked that because now I want to know, is this what propelled you into to creating these groups? You created the expert witness entrepreneurs, you created attorney medical record resource groups, and these groups have a lot of people in them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
How that happened was I did like everybody does when they get into LinkedIn. I joined a bunch of groups
yes.
that I thought were, related to what it is that I was doing as a legal nurse consultant. But when I got in there, everybody had these, rules, and they're wonderful groups, and you should still join up with,
Mm.
whatever fits for you. But for me, the way I connect with other people, there wasn't enough room for that inside of these groups with their individual rules and controlling the content. It was hard to connect in a real way with other folks. So I said, "Hey, they started a group. Maybe I can start a group." and guess what? It's easy and it's free. And you do it like everybody else does it. And you are in control of what content goes back and forth, who gets in, who doesn't get in, and how you talk to them, how you relate with them, how you meet up with them outside of the group. And again, finding other people, like-minded folks with some similar or varied experience to work with each other to work in this taking the health field into the legal realm.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's most helpful. It's most helpful when I talk to people. I make a point of scheduling X amount of time each week to reach out to somebody that perhaps I haven't reached out to before. And usually now it's members of the groups.
Yeah.
And, spending 10, 15 minutes with them, you do that with one person, or, once a week. In 52 weeks, you have reached out to 52 different folks, and
Yes.
it's so helpful in finding business, for getting referrals, for encouraging other people that are new to this whole healthcare legal realm, to let
Yeah.
them know, you know, what's out here and
Yeah.
that they belong.
But they
So
belong.
yeah, that's what I do.
Hmm? You also host a podcast. And
Oh,
I was
yes.
intrigued by the title of this podcast because it's called Should You Take That Case?
Yes. 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 I love that. I love that you love it because guess what? The title of that podcast came from an attorney that I met in LinkedIn, not in real life, in LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
And that is a phrase that this attorney uttered while we were chatting, just in a DM about
Yeah.
something, a case that came up, and this attorney said that well, I still haven't decided, and I don't know if I need your help yet. So I'm still thinking about should I take that case. And I said, you should take that case. I said, well, you may not know if you should take it, but you should send it to me
Yeah.
and I can review it and I can help you assess this case for merit. And with the based on the medical records that you have already, I can let you know if it's a case that would, that would be beneficial to you and your
Uh-huh.
client, or I could identify if it's just an unfortunate
Yeah.
incident and not anyone's fault at all. So
Yeah.
assessing cases for merit, that's what we do as legal nurses consultants. But that's where that title came from. And I said, hey, should she take that case? If she's thinking that everybody, other attorneys that do this, personal injury or medical malpractice attorneys, maybe they're thinking the same thing. And maybe we should talk about that, you know, on a weekly or bi-weekly basis over
Yeah.
the internet. And that's how that came into being. So what I ended up doing is, again, going back to my groups, the group of attorneys that I made, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. It's a mouthful, but it tells the tale of
Yeah.
what that group is all about. I invite attorneys in there to uh, uh, give them tips about things they might find in the medical record, tips about what particular expert would that if they'd like an expert witness, I can help them locate that and what expert goes with what particular case, whether it's should it be a neurologist or should it be
Hmm.
a vascular
So,
surgeon or
yeah.
based on what is going on inside of that case. And so the only thing that these attorneys have to do to be a part of the podcast is join my attorney medical record resource group. That's the only thing I ask. And so generally my guests are just members of that
Oh, that
private
group. Hmm.
LinkedIn group. So that's how I do that. It's just connecting people with things that they need.
What they
Uh,
need.
and that's how it worked out. I needed guests for my podcast, and they needed to be on podcasts. So that's how that worked. You know, attorneys like to talk, and well, so do nurses. So we have that in common. So that's how that happened.
I look at these groups that you have, I look at your podcast and I think to myself, she is doing something right. 500 members, 600 members, and a podcast. Yes. You know,
Right.
definitely. You're reaching what I see is that you're reaching people in a way that they need to be reached. So more power to you,
meet
my lab.
meet people where they are,
Yes,
and if
yes,
they
yes.
happen to be in a group you formed, so much the better.
Yeah. You don't have to stress too far.
Yes.
So, what advice though, having done all that you did, because I see that you did rehab, you did med surg, you did oncology, home care, case management, all of that. You've got a wide experience in nursing. What advice would you give to someone who wants to be a nurse?
Well, Give me a second. let me think for a quick second. I have done a lot of things, and I mostly think it's because I was, you know, just branching out, trying to find,
Yeah.
what really resonated with me. And so it did lead me to from place to place to
Mhm.
place. But the but that's what I said, the legal nurse consulting, that's where everything meets. It's just all of those things could be, and that experience could be helpful and handy in a way. So I will say, varying experience, I think it helps me feel more able to meet this legal nurse to, that legal nurse consulting challenge. And I also think that nurses should be more self-aware and know that this is a career, or not just a job. It's more of a calling. It's not just a career, not just a job, more of a calling. And they should keep a picture of themselves in mind that is always positive, and to see themselves as virtuous, as ethical, as important, as valuable, and if not one of the most valuable team players inside of the healthcare realm. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say. Think, get a real, true picture of yourself, and
Mhm.
try and eliminate some of these ingrown things, this dichotomy about what nurses really are.
Mhm.
Try and just discard some of that. So
Yes.
and what I said was, get with other people.
Get with
You
other
know,
people.
don't be
Get
in a
with other
silo.
people.
Get in a community, and then if you get someplace where other nurses talk, reality inevitably leaks in. So
Yes.
because we are practical uh, uh, folks, as
Yes. Yeah.
we're practical, we're critical thinkers, and we can turn that onto
Yes.
ourselves as a community. and
Yes.
uh, and it's something that won't happen when we are isolated and by ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And at some point, you're going to find that whether you started out that way or not, I think, but maybe I should say for me, I found that I needed that nurse group, not
Mhm.
just because it was, there was a time when I thought, well, you know what, I have enough of that. I don't believe it there. But those are the people who understand your sense of humor. Those are the people who understand that you could talk about icky stuff and eat. Those are
Yeah,
the people who understand, who, when you're
that's
pulling your hair out, sometimes don't even need you to say a word, but they
yeah,
get it. So you need
yes.
that group of people that you can say, listen, I've had this kind of a day, and they're like, and
That's right. And don't put it on your spouse, or don't put it on that,
you
unless
know what?
they're a nurse.
They support you. They support
Yeah,
your spouse, your loved ones. They support you, but
they
they
want to eat their
cannot walk
dinner.
those shoes. They don't get it.
They want to eat their dinner. My husband said, "I just want to eat my dinner. I don't want to hear about any of this stuff." You know, but if you can't eat while talking about squishy things,
That
as a
you don't
nurse, you
belong
just
there.
don't eat. So I got you.
So, earlier on, you talked about the life work balance, right? And a lot of that comes under, self-care comes into that. And so I want to
Mhm.
know, A, what self-care means to you, and B, what do you do for self-care?
Oh, well, I guess what? I'm really excited about answering that question because as a nurse, I think that self-care means taking care of ourselves the same way we take care of people because we're people too. So,
Yep.
and I say nursing and caregiving, it is a powerful tool. And I say self-care is turning that powerful tool on ourselves and our own community. And it's a point of view and a perspective. There is no way that you can go in and care for somebody and suggest that mammograms or pap smears are important parts about taking care of themselves, and then we walk out and don't do the same thing for us. I want us. We should be getting the best nursing care as nurses. We should
That's
be
right.
getting the best self care as nurses because we know all of the things
Yeah.
that have to be done. We know if problems, problems in the community, problems at home, things that are not working well. We will create a diagnosis for that in a second and a plan to improve it.
And
Right?
in that same second.
So why, yeah, and then go through years and don't do the same thing for ourselves. When we're out of work, we have, if work is 8 hours, you got a whole nother 16 hours in the
Yeah.
day to take care of yourself as good as you take care of somebody else during
Yeah.
those 8 hours. So that's it. Self-care, be your own nurse, attack your own health and
Yeah.
well-being the
Yeah.
same way you jump in there if it was somebody else you were taking care of.
Yep. Yep.
There you
And
go.
stop accepting things for ourselves that we would not accept for our patients.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. But it makes so much sense. It almost makes too much sense. Yeah. Like, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? You could be in a whole example for your patients, did you get your mammogram? You're telling me I have to get one. Did you get one? Yes, I did. I get it every day, like Oprah Winfrey, every year on my birthday. I
Yeah. But
remember that. I use that.
I mean, even more everyday things than that, because as nurses, one of the things you check, you want to see if your patient passed urine. You want to see if it passed, and then you go 12 hours and you didn't go to the bathroom. But how was that?
Listen, I gave that up first year of nursing. I gave that up when I had my first bladder infection. And let me just say this, my only bladder infection, because listen, it only took one. It only took one. And so that's good. Well, listen, you don't even have to have one.
Don't have
Right?
to have one. Get over it.
You're doing I&Os. You got a dozen or more I&Os going for somebody else. Please put yourself on the I&O intake and output list from now until forever. That's it.
Forever.
Even if nobody else is on I&O, you are. Every shift that you go on. Put it in your phone, put it on a sheet, whatever you have to do to make it to ingrain. I got you.
I have one last question, Lisa. I have been trying to collect these words about nurses and how we see ourselves, how other people see us. So, the question I've been asking is this: if you could tell me in one word what you see, what you think of as the most essential quality of a nurse, what would that word be?
It's too many words to that thing.
What?
And to narrow it down to one is hard. But I will say resourceful because
Okay.
I think nurses are the epitome of working with what you got. So,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And we know how to assess a situation So much so we do it automatically. There's not a whole
Yes.
lot of forethought to assess a
Yes.
situation and then use the tools at hand to solve those
Bizarre.
problems or issues. And I think that is it in a nutshell. Because again, in a 12-hour shift, we almost do this an innumerable amount of
So
times.
many times.
So many times that, every time you get data, get information, a lab result, who didn't show up to work, schedule, and your supervisor, making the schedule of who does what, it is just 12 hours of that.
Yeah.
So again, it's reprioritizing with every piece of information that you get, every time somebody talks to you, every sound you hear, walking down the hallway. So I think we are resourceful and are all right. I throw another word in, adaptable. I think, but
Adaptable.
those they go together. I think.
Yes. Yes.
I don't
Yes.
know. It's that resource adaptability. I don't know. It's that one word. We'll make it into one
We
word.
can make our own word.
Yes, there you go.
Vanessa, we can make our own word.
Yes, we're going. Yes, we make. Listen, we make a whole nomenclature to deal with all kinds of things. A secret
Yes.
code, even that no one else knows.
No, exactly, exactly, exactly. Lisa, thank you so very much for this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Have a really great day.
Oh, thanks. And can I just ask you if anybody's interested in me or
Certainly.
one of my groups, come and visit my website, Wade Nurse Consultants.com. Consultants with an S. I know, just to make sure. And visit us, visit our website, learn a little bit about more about the story of how I got into this whole nursing, legal nurse consulting thing. And if you are or know an attorney, personal injury or medical malpractice that needs some help deciphering thousands of pages of medical records, we're the people that can help you with that.
Yes. And just for everyone to know, I will put all of that information in the description box. So when you look at this video and you see the information will be there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
My absolute pleasure. My pleasure, Lisa.
Yay.